No, no, don't worry. This is not some 53 blend of ethanol, nor is this red outline the red residue of the sugarcane juice that is terrifying all Indian motorists right now. It simply means this is an AMG that's gone hybrid. It's got a 3-liter inline-six cylinder engine which can work with E5, E10 and E25 blends of petrol. And it's a hybrid. A plug-in hybrid at that, which means the battery pack is large enough for you to charge it for a pure EV range of 100 kilometers without waking up the engine. And when it does wake up the engine, it can give you 612 PS of system output. So has Mercedes-Benz created the best driver's E-Class? Or have they simply created a really fast E-Class with 2 fuel lids? Let's find out. The E53 has always been like an experiment bed for Mercedes-Benz in India. A few years ago, we got the E53 and the E63S together. It gave buyers a choice between the relatively sensible straight-six AMG and the full-fat V8 hooligan. Then came the E53 Cabriolet, for E-Class owners who were not obsessed with keeping their receding hairline perfectly arranged. And now we have this, the E53 Hybrid, which makes sense because the long wheelbase E-Class sold in India is aimed largely at the person sitting in the rear seat. The E53 uses the standard wheelbase body and is aimed squarely at the person holding the steering wheel. Are you still keeping your chauffeur then? So yes, it could save a bit of the driver's salary, but some of it is going to go in electricity bills, tires even, and maybe even speeding tickets. Yes, it does not look dramatically different from the normal E-Class, and I do not think it needs to. It remains a fast executive sedan rather than something designed to frighten children outside a cafe. It looks broader, the grille gets the AMG treatment and illumination even. And the front apron has this dog bone graphic that has now become sort of an AMG design signature. There are 20-inch wheels, a fairly restrained spoiler at the back, turbo hybrid lettering, and 4 round exhaust finishers, even though the actual exhausts are tucked away behind them. And then there is the red outline around the badge, which is probably the most discreet indication that there is a fairly substantial battery hiding in the boot. So yes, the design doesn't look like a rolling social media thumbnail. Some people will appreciate that design, while some others may not like that restraint. They might wonder why their AMG looks like a standard E-Class. And honestly, both those arguments are valid. Inside the cabin, it's familiar Mercedes and AMG territory, which means you get the flat-bottom AMG wheel with these 2 ribs and the 2 screens. And speaking of screens, this does away with the super screen, at least not for the India spec car, which means the passenger doesn't get a screen, and I think it's a waste of space anyway. You do get this massive infotainment screen, but I'm not a big fan of these fat bezels that come with it. But the rest of the materials feel expensive, feel upmarket, and that makes up for these really thick bezels. You still get the AMG specific graphics, red stitching, a chunky AMG wheel, and plenty of shortcuts to alter the drive mode, the suspension, and the exhaust note. Though honestly, the exhaust could have been a little louder, both at startup and on the move. And of course, Mercedes-Benz continues to be obsessed and dedicated with putting touch-sensitive screens and whatnot in every possible space, including these 2 screens right here. But honestly, I like these switches, I like these hotkeys. I know people complain about them, but I love them. So probably I'm the problem. These AMG buckets are pretty comfortable, even by E-Class standards. The driving position is low, support is good, and the cabin feels expensive enough. The rear seat is perfectly usable, helped by the battery being positioned beneath the rear floor. But this is not the vast lounge offered by the long wheelbase E-Class. The regular car stretches to almost 3.1 meter long wheelbase and is sold here with rear seat comfort as one of its principal attractions. The E53's 2971mm wheelbase makes the priorities quite clear. Still based on a business sedan, which means you get plenty of knee room, a decent amount of headspace, and quite a bit of foot space as well, even though this is not the long wheelbase E-Class. And it still continues to pamper you with these kind of blinds, decent space, decent cooling at the back, and this massive sunroof, which extends all the way to the back. Furthermore, the batteries don't sit in the floor, which means it doesn't rob into the passenger space. But the boot gets the bill. The boot of the E53 offers about 370 litres, which is not disastrous, but it's not as big as the long wheelbase E-Class, and it may struggle with a full family airport run. But honestly, someone who already has this car in the garage already has other SUVs in the garage too, and perhaps even a chauffeur, unless of course you bought this car after watching the title of this video. Thankfully, AMG's recent obsession with removing cylinders has not spread to the E53's engine bay. Sounds good, doesn't it? This isn't some 4-cylinder turbocharged engine trying to sound larger than what its specs would suggest. This is a proper inline-six, a 3-litre one at that, and it puts out 449 PS of power on its own and 500 Newton meters of torque. There's also a 120 kilowatt electric motor with the 9-speed gearbox. Together, they produce 585 PS and 750 Newton meters of torque. And when the engine plus the electric motor hybrid system comes together, it gives you the race start function too. With the race start, you will get about 612 PS. That's the same kind of peak power that the E53 AMG did a few years back with its 4-litre twin-turbo V8. But honestly, that's where the similarity ends. We'll come to that in a bit. First, the strange experience of driving an AMG without hearing an AMG. The battery has a gross capacity of 28.6 kilowatt hours with 21.2 kilowatt hour available for regular use. Mercedes-Benz claims an electric range of 101 kilometers. And this isn't the standard hybrid procedure, you get out of your parking lot in a silent manner, but by the time you reach the main gate, the engine's already woken up even before the security guard is done saluting. This is a proper plug-in hybrid, which means the battery pack is large enough to give you pure electric commuting for the entire week. And the electric motor is strong enough that the car does not feel half asleep in EV mode. It keeps up with the traffic easily and only brings in the engine when you ask for more. So through the week, it can behave like a quiet electric E-Class. Then over the weekend, you can remind it what the AMG badge really stands for. There is, however, a condition. Treat this like a decoration piece, and you're essentially just carrying around a really heavy hybrid system. You need to charge this often to be able to take advantage of that battery pack. It supports 11 kilowatt AC charging, but surprisingly, the 60 kilowatt DC fast charging has been given the miss for India. So if you run out of juice on a road trip, you're going to be on pure petrol propulsion. Keep it topped up, and this is a proper hybrid system worth talking about, worth exploiting. Forget to charge it, and it simply becomes expensive engineering luggage. Once the straight six wakes up, the two sides of the powertrain work together rather well. The electric motor fills the low end pause, the engine takes over smoothly, and the 9-speed gearbox manages the handover without making it feel as though two separate powertrains are negotiating custody. Mid-range performance is immense. Overtakes disappear almost as quickly as the fuel gauge once you will stop pretending to care about efficiency. And then there is the race start. Move the dial to the Sport Plus mode, step hard on the brake, step hard on the accelerator, and that's 100 already. That is one quick car. The acceleration is savage, but not theatrical because hardly any crackles and pops. That distinction matters. Sure, the E63S put out 612 PS of power too, but it also had 850 Newton meters of torque, 3.4 seconds 0 to 100. So if my memory serves me right, driving that car felt like you were taming an animal. This one feels so much more civilized. So yes, it's inherited the power output figure of the E63S, but not that same level of madness, not that personality disorder. Don't get me wrong, the straight six still sounds good, though not as good as the old E53. It revs smoothly and has far more character than a 4-cylinder hybrid would have ever managed. But the old E63 was noisy, unruly, and faintly antisocial. This one is extremely fast in a more educated, responsible, and a tax-paying sort of way. But the problem is not the 612 PS figure. The problem is the 2400 kg weight. That's almost as much as the full-blown luxury SUV is. So AMG has attacked the problem with technology. Adaptive dampers, additional chassis bracing, 4MATIC Plus all-wheel drive, and electronic rear differential and rear wheel steering. In other words, if weight cannot be removed, it can at least be confused and controlled. And it does work. The steering feels light, the front end has plenty of feedback coming from it, and the rear axle steering, it makes sure that the car feels much more compact than what it is. Below 60 kilometers an hour, the rear wheels turn opposite to the fronts. Above that speed, they turn in the same direction to improve stability. The E53 changes direction with far more enthusiasm than a 2.4-ton sedan has any right to. But unlike your chauffeur, the physics have not been fired. They are simply working from home. You can still feel the mass under direction changes or when you want to brake for something. And that mass is absolutely evident, especially when you're tackling really tight corners. It doesn't shrink around you the way a sports sedan would. It prefers fast flowing roads where it can use its traction, stability, and huge reserves of performance. It is more impressive than playful. You admire how well it manages its weight rather than forgetting the weight is there. And despite having the batteries in the boot, the tail doesn't really feel unnervingly heavy. In fact, it works to your advantage because the car can send most of that power and torque to the rear wheels, and then the batteries, they add that weight on the rear wheels as well. So you get excellent stability, you get a front end that has plenty of feedback. It feels light, yes, but in a good way. And you can attack the corners with a lot more authority, and there is a little bit of that rear end rotation which comes with the power, with that weight. But what that translates into is some good driving fun. The car pulls itself out of a corner in a way an AMG should. So yes, while I may have called it civilized, it is a civilized beast of sorts. This is a lot of fun. Like I've said before, this is the only kind of electrification that I really like, where it's the engine and the battery working together. We are living in a world of collaborations, and this is probably one of the best ways to collaborate. And with that kind of weight and the 20-inch wheels, the ride quality is definitely firm. All the undulations in the road, the broken patches of road, etc., they are going to make themselves heard and felt. Of course, it's not unbearably stiff, it's not unbearably firm, because this is still, at the end of the day, an E-Class. The regular long wheelbase E-Class rides better, has smaller wheels, and is much more interested in keeping the rear passenger happy. This car is interested in keeping the driver awake. That is the trade-off. And of course, the important question, would I pick it up over a BMW M5? One, I don't like the way the M5 looks. And dynamically, though that car is quite sorted, it still feels pretty heavy. It feels a bit lumpy. This one doesn't. This one manages to mask all its weight a lot better. So even though it's not as powerful as the M5, I think I have more fun driving this car than what I remember of the M5. And also, I think this one looks better than the M5. But neither of them look as good as their predecessors. So if I had to pick, I would still pick this one. So to sum it up, is this the rebirth of the E53S? Not really. It has the power output of the E63S, but without the aggression, without the madness, without the tendency to provoke irresponsible behavior. The E53 Hybrid has different strengths. It can cover much of the working week as an EV, carry 4 adults in comfort, cruise quietly over long distances, and then deliver 612 PS when the road opens up. It is heavy, the boot is smaller, the ride is firmer than the long wheelbase E-Class, and the hybrid system only makes sense when you actually charge it. But it also has a proper 6-cylinder engine, huge performance, and a breadth of ability that few cars can actually match. So then, has Mercedes-Benz built 2 cars in one? Sort of. Essentially, the right way to put it is that they've built a very complicated machine with 2 very convincing personalities. And for buyers who still believe that the best part of an E-Class should have a steering wheel in front of it, this may be the most relevant AMG sedan in years. So does that mean your chauffeur needs to be fired? That's something that you will decide. But yeah, your chauffeur definitely needs to update his CV.